Thanks. How are you?
Good, good, good.
So, can we begin by you introducing yourself to the viewers, please?
Yeah, I have a channel on YouTube called Narcissist Hex. My name is Jack. Been diagnosed as a covert um, narcissist like 2 years ago, and been struggling with it ever since.
Thank you. And at this point now in your journey, um, can you explain to the viewers what differences are you experiencing now at this stage in your healing?
um, the differences now is that I know what I'm doing that's harming people still, but I still have to stop myself from doing it. And I'm still doing it to a degree, but it's like I can't help it now sometimes. So healing from it is like a constant daily battle. Um, I don't, I don't, I don't know how I'm gonna win it, but um, that's what I'm working on. It's like you have a devil and an angel on your shoulders. That's how it is every day. Like you're fighting the evil side, and then you have to stop yourself to remember that it's toxic. My therapist gave me a tool called opposite behavior therapy. So you're doing the opposite of what your first instinct is. So
Yes,
yeah, it sucks.
I just find it funny, that the therapist said that. I mean, of course, I can understand that that would be very effective, but it's kind of comical in a way because it's like the first thought for most of us when we think of narcissists, it's like they're anything but normal. They do the
Yeah,
exact opposite of whatever is usual or expected or desired. So it
right.
makes sense to say
Exactly.
that. It sounds like such a simple fix, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. See, my most of my life has been spent, you know, in that toxic stuff, so
Yes,
doing the toxic thing is normal to me. Living a peaceful life is not normal. So,
right.
well, for me anyway.
Yeah, because that's it with narcissists. They tend to thrive in dysfunction.
Exactly.
They don't like functional environments where everything is in harmony. They have to disrupt it.
Right. It's not that we don't like it, it's just we don't know any better. Um, Personally, for me, I don't know any better.
Right,
My family was extremely dysfunctional. So, dysfunction, misery, chaos, violence, that to me is normal. That's all normal to me,
right.
unfortunately.
So, what do you think when? Because I know from my own experiences, with narcissists that I've dealt with, there were little things like when I tried to put my arms around them or kiss them, they would like pull away and turn away. It's like they couldn't stand it when I just tried to be normal and affectionate with them. Did have you found that in yourself?
Yeah, it's extremely uncomfortable. I don't know why. I think a part of it is all the misery that we heap on others. We feel like we don't deserve, subconsciously, we don't deserve it. Maybe that's what it is. And it's funny you mentioned that because I was at a party for New Year's Eve, and a friend of a friend's was trying to hug me, and it felt weird. I don't know, but
Right.
I don't know. I can't explain it. It didn't feel like normal, like hugging a child or my daughter or whatever. It didn't feel good. I don't know. It's like we don't have the human ability to function as a human unless we're forced to. I know I'm not forced to hug this person, so I didn't want to do it, even though I did it, but I didn't want to do it.
I think I can already think of a few reasons why that is. Of course, with all of my research, but I would like to hear from you. I mean, this is an interview, and you are the feature. And I think the viewers would like to hear from a diagnosed narcissist. Why do you think that is? That you turn away from affection, from intimacy, from closeness?
It's kind of like in my situation, I don't know about every single art narcissist, but for me, it was never given as a child, so it's foreign as an adult. Like when I fell down or I got beat up, I was never hugged or comforted or anything. I had people beat me up at school, for example, and my mom would just be like, well, that's how it is. That's how the world is. So you don't expect when someone's kind, you don't expect that. Like for
Right,
me, it's foreign. It's like a foreign concept that someone could be nice. And when someone is nice, I always think they're about to backstab me or something's gonna happen. Like that's it's so messed up. Like this disorder, it's you need more to it like for any narcissist, you need more than just therapy. Believe me. You have to really you have to really want to change. You need more than
right.
therapy. It's a lot of work to just function and oh, okay, this person just wants to hug me, for love. It's bizarre to me. A lot of narcissists may not admit that though, and that's the thing. They may not admit that, you know. I'm trying to be vulnerable, but like it's a hard thing to admit that it's a foreign concept where you don't have that feeling of actually loving someone. I know it's weird, but when you love someone, you
Uh,
hug them. You don't have that feeling as a narcissist. Not fully. Not fully though. Like there is love, but it's not like how you would probably feel it. You're an
mm.
empath.
I agree. I mean, as you said, I think it's because you know they feel undeserving, unlovable. So someone presents love to them, and then it kind of it triggers that injury, and it goes from the false self to where they reflect back on the true self or the undeveloped child within, and it's like I'm not worthy of this type of interaction, this love. Is that
Right. Yeah. Like sometimes you say things and it's like you're a narcissist yourself. Like you know us so well. Like you're speaking as a narcissist. I know you're not. You're the opposite. But you did a short a couple years ago. You did a short and you said, what the hell was it? It was
right?
due to the narcissist what they're doing to you. To see how they like their little I think it was like a discard game or something like that. Trauma bond, that's what it was. And you're like, try it with them, see how they like it. And I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, this guy, damn.
Yeah, I think I do kind of know a lot of narcissists more than they know themselves. At this point, with all of my daily research over the past 6 years now, but then also, I can look at things in my past. I'm not perfect myself, and of course, there have been times where I've been a bit narcissistic, even though I do consider myself to be an empath. So I can learn from my past as well.
Yeah, we have such great conversations. I feel like a good vibe, like from you. Like even not watching your videos, I came across it, and it was just something about you. Like I don't know, you're you're not like Vachnan and other channels on YouTube. It's like you know us almost like you said better than us, better than we know ourselves. So
Yes, I've always been interested in human behavior and psychology, just human interaction, and just why people do what they do.
yeah, and like your videos are so clear and concise, and your advice is really good for people. And I agree with like almost everything you say. It's it's um it's really spot on what you say.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I never advise anyone to work on a relationship if their partner is a narcissist, just like you. I fully agree with that. They have to
Yeah.
get out of that.
Yes, definitely. I've got some questions here that I would like to ask as well. I think the viewers may be interested in some of these. I want to ask more about the false self. Do you remember creating the false self?
Yeah, I remember right around my early part of my teens, I started developing. I remember bits and pieces of it. Yeah,
Right.
um, it's like protection. Like if people know the real me and what I am, it's a protection. It's to protect my identity, basically. It's it's not anything I believe in. Like I know my ex-wife, I was telling her I was a demigod at points, and
Yes.
that's an extreme version of that. But I do remember bits and pieces of it as a teenager to protect people from getting to know me, I think, like who I really am, as a child and growing up. And it just became normal to me. It's a part of my identity.
And it's because maybe you felt as though the real part of you wasn't good enough.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's again how narcissists better than we know ourselves. That's kind of what I was trying to say, actually. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
But I'm sure some people will be watching this and they'll be thinking, that's that seems like quite a normal thing these days.
Yeah.
For kids in their teens, it's like they're looking at I don't know. It used to be Britney Spears, now it's Kim Kardashian,
Yeah.
Justin Bieber, whoever it is, and now they all want to be these celebrities now.
Right.
They all take
But they,
after them.
yeah, I was just gonna say that they look up to like people like Trump. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And
And
the
now they have no
Kardashians.
identity of their own. Now it's just everything just revolves around this pop culture.
Yeah. It's a shame too, because as the famous ones are famous, obviously, it looks like it's gonna keep spreading, I guess.
But what do you think it is that separates you from those types of people? Because obviously that's very common now these days.
Um, what separates it? Hmm. I think I wanted to go. on a journey to learn about it, which is why I started my channel. I wanted to learn about it and understand it. Uh, Very similar to how Vaknin wanted to do that. But I think what separates me is that I'm trying to change it. I'm trying to change the patterns that have not worked, and I'm not trying to change it just because I want to change it.
Right.
I want to change it, for my children. And well, that sounds great and all, but I'm not going to be able to survive unless I change it. It's a self-destructive behavior mechanism, totally self-destructive. And I wanted to leave my legacy on YouTube as well, so my children can understand it and what I was or what I am. Hopefully, they don't become that way. It's kind of like hereditary, like hair loss or whatever. You could pass these traits on to your children, and it'll just never end. Like if I treat my child very toxic and horrible, he's going to do the same thing as he gets older, and it's a never-ending cycle. I want to end it, and it's not only just for my children; it's for me, because if I don't change it, I'm going to end up, I could end up like deleting myself, and that's actually pretty common with narcissists. There's a high rate of that. I mean, I don't want to say the word. You know what I'm saying? You know, somebody said it was like 20%. I don't know if that's true, but I know I've had thoughts of that quite often.
It's really amazing, though, to hear a diagnosed narcissist being able to identify that the disorder is self-destructive, because it's like a lot of them, they don't seem to realize it, or they just don't care, and that's why they continue on with their behavior.
Yeah, it's like going into a lake of fire. You're gonna destroy yourself eventually. You self sabotage, and I have to keep stopping myself from doing that all the time. Like anything good or anything that happens, like I want to sabotage it. Like all relationships, every relationship I've had, you just want to sabotage them.
Right.
But it's
I
not
think
like I
it's
mean I have to do it. It feels like I have to. It's weird. I don't know if you understand that.
I can see Graham Whiting in the live chat is saying, you was weak and became a false self.
Yeah.
I know that's quite blunt, but you've watched my videos, and I do stand by that. And even in my own experience in my past, I can see it. Where I couldn't be vulnerable myself before, that I felt like I could have had a false self of my own at one point, and yeah, I found it was out of weakness myself. It's because I was too weak to be vulnerable, because vulnerability is strength. To just let go of the ego and to be our authentic selves, that takes strength and courage.
Well, yeah, yeah. But I didn't know that growing up. I didn't know that. I didn't understand it.
Right.
Half my life was spent living this way. I knew there's something wrong with me, and I don't know what it is or what it was. I read so many self-help books, but yeah, I guess I was weak as a child. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
But you're strong now. I mean, how many narcissists in the world are taking the steps as you have, where you've become self-aware and you're changing your behaviors. You're able to be live on YouTube to speak about it. How many narcissists have the strength to do that?
Right. Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah. Yeah. It took a lot though, like, to become this way, self-aware. And yeah, like I wish I knew this, when I was younger to not develop this, but it's not like I had a choice. I don't feel like I had a choice. It's just my personality.
So you think this was something outside of your control?
Yeah, but I didn't understand what happened to me. I didn't understand it. Like, when I was young, I was abused a lot in many, many different ways. I didn't understand it,
Right.
and it's just normal. It became normal. Although as I grew up, I started to realize I wasn't a human almost, I guess you could say. I know it sounds weird, but like you don't fit in anywhere. You don't feel human.
But then I'm sure some people are watching this and they will be thinking, they've been through a lot of abuse in their childhood and they didn't become a narcissist. They
Yeah,
became empaths.
yeah, like you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a guy on YouTube like a few months ago, like 6 months ago. He's called the Anti-Narc, and I used to go on his streams and talk to him a lot. He's very similar to you, and he was telling me his story. His father and brother beat him up, and it was like a lot of abuse, but we were like so opposite. I was like, it blew my mind away. I couldn't believe it.
Right.
But obviously, your story too. And your empath, which you always say is 1 to 3% in the world right
And
now.
2%, yes, that's the statistics I've seen, yes.
And Lockton says that narcissists are anywhere from 1 to 6, and now 50%. So I don't know. How do you know if it's a covert narcissist? How do you know that though?
That's the thing, because the statistics show up to 15% is NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, which, that's the grandiose narcissist, but that does not include covert narcissism. That's something
Right.
else.
Yeah. Yeah, because they don't want to admit it. And when my therapist told me that I had it, I dismissed her and I got rid of her. And I didn't believe it. I'm like, oh, she's an idiot. I actually thought I was smarter. I'm like, I should have been a fucking therapist. I mean, this was years ago. So
Right.
the false self again.
Yeah, that's really a typical response, I think, that a narcissist would give to a therapist.
Yeah.
Just an
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah.
I could be a therapist as well.
Yeah, you probably could though, 'cause you have empathy.
Yeah.
And then I apologized to her and went back. And the only reason I did that is because my friend said, well, she was like, my friend Katie was like, well, let's think about this, and really made me think about it. And I'm like, well, okay, my therapist said it, my daughter said it, my ex-wife said it. Okay, so maybe they're on to something. I gave my therapist a second chance, and I've been going ever since.
Right.
Um, Illogically, if you think about three different people telling you the same thing that don't really know each other, obviously there's got to be some truth there.
And it's great, that you did pay attention to what was being said, because A lot of times with narcissists, it's like no matter how many people try to tell them, they just don't listen.
Right. I knew something was wrong with me. I couldn't figure it out though. My daughter was like telling me, believe me, you don't want to be this. And I just thought it was somebody like looking in the mirror and, being cool and shit. Yeah, I didn't know it was like destroying everyone's life. And you know what's even weirder is while I was doing it, I didn't realize I was doing it. I know you don't believe me, but like I knew it and I didn't, I guess. Like I was hurting people, but I didn't,
Right.
it's hard to explain. I can't explain it.
Like you weren't fully aware of it.
Not fully, no, not fully.
So can we talk about the void as well?
Yeah, sure.
How does it feel to have this void inside of yourself where you constantly need a source of supply?
Yeah, we rely on external sources for supply, very similar to the Matrix movies. Like we plug into other people and we need their supply. Have you ever seen the Matrix movies?
Yes, yes, of course I have.
Okay, it's very similar to that. So we rely on that, and when we don't have it, we have to face the void. That's kind of what happened to me, sort of like a couple years ago when it started. I was alone for a long time, so I was having to face that. The void is also the knowledge that kind of like you're nothing. You're you don't really fit into society, and you know that. The only thing that can make you happy is I hate to say this, but harming others to a degree. You feel a little bit of happiness because there's nothing inside to fill you up to make you happy. So like I was getting supply from someone and it was gone,
Right.
and I was having to face the void alone. It's like a giant black wave crashing in on me, and it was relatively new to me. I wanted to delete myself so many times. Just the knowledge of the nothingness, I guess. You feel, say, you win the lottery or whatever good happens, you feel good for like a moment, but you're constantly scanning for the bad of that aspect, whatever the aspect is.
Win the
You know.
lottery.
Yeah. Yeah. You would be happy, but like for us, we're like, oh, now we got fucking taxes.
Yeah, that's
So,
it. I mean, I've always said that it's like, even if a narcissist wins the lottery, they could have mansions around the world, private jets, super yachts, their perfect partner, perfect family, children, everything. They're still not going to be happy with that.
exactly. I had a lot of money at one point and a beautiful fiance. I had a house. I had so many things that a lot of people would wish for, and it was like I couldn't help it. Like I had to destroy it. I didn't feel anything. Like I only felt good when it was like bad. I know it's weird. It's a weird
Mm.
concept. There's a numbing inside. Like a void is like you can't get satisfied. You can't get like happy. It's very fleeting. Put it that way. Like when my child was born, things like that. It's very fleeting, but you're on to like something else in your mind. Your mind's not there. You're like almost numb. You're numb and hollow. It's weird.
Just
It's a
can't
weird
enjoy
feeling.
it. And yet, for many of the survivors who are watching this right now, it's like that's all they've ever wanted. It's just a normal relationship with someone who loves and cares for them. But it's like the narcissist they were with just withheld that from them, and they were probably craving it so much, and then
Yeah,
thinking the narcissist has that with someone else.
right. Yeah, it's a shame.
but they don't, of course. Never
Yeah.
do.
Are we allowed to cuss in live stream?
um,
I did it on accident already once.
I try to avoid it, just in case
Yeah,
there's any families watching this.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna
Another
try to.
question. Sorry,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I've got another question. How does it feel to get narcissistic supply?
It feels like your life's complete, but only temporary. It feels really good.
Right.
Again, only temporary. Hmm. Because you feel a level of relief, like, oh my gosh, I got my supply finally. There's a level of relief there, but then it's gone. It's over, and you're gonna start degrading that person very shortly.
Are you
Were
getting
you?
supply now?
No, I'm not. I probably don't need it right now. Seriously, like I had a good relationship. I messed it up. Like
Right.
that's been my lifestyle. I don't need a I don't need it though, man. I don't want to. I need to focus on myself and fixing myself. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, because that's it, isn't it? I mean, with the narcissistic supply, that's more, it's the false self. It's
Right,
not really you focusing on your actual needs.
right. It's a it's such a sinister, self-destructive disorder.
Did you ever feel bad for hurting your victims?
Victims.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is an interrogation now.
Well, yeah. I want to talk to my attorney first. Yeah, yeah. I didn't always like well, actually, most of my, I'm gonna lie here. Like most of my life, I didn't, but only the last couple years I did. So what had happened is, I'm older, and I started to look back on I'll just give you my recent example, my ex-wife. So I started to look back on it. I'm like, oh my God, I did this, I did that. And I went down a list, and I was telling my therapist, and she's like, oh my gosh, you got to be careful. You gotta stop dwelling on this. There's nothing you could do. She's already with someone else. But now the other part of this, my other victims were my family. You know, like my daughter. So
Yes, yes.
it's she can almost do anything to me now, and I like forgive her and get over it. But like I know I treated her like crap too. I know I did. So I already know that. And it brings out, to sum it up, it brings out depression. So for my self preservation, I try not to dwell on it. And the only people I can control now is my family and myself. I can't stop my ex wife, or, I can't do anything about it. She doesn't want to speak to me. Although we're sort of friends now, we're friendly now, but she doesn't want to like hang out or anything. So I just kind of friendly to her because I think a lot of it's guilt. Honestly, I do feel guilty about that.
Yeah, I
My
get
life,
that. You couldn't control too much, before you became aware and you
right?
went through therapy. So now of course, you would look back and think differently about how you were before.
Yeah, it made me cry a lot, honestly. It really did. I know it sounds weird that I'm a covert narc, but there were so many nights I didn't want to live, and I just cried so much because I didn't. like she did things like, she did things that were wrong or whatever, but like the punishment for the things she did was so extreme. It was uncalled for. So looking back on it now, years later, I feel really terrible about it, but I don't know what I could ever do about it. But again, another part of my YouTube channel when I started it is to spread more awareness of it. So hopefully someone else doesn't go through that. That's just the way I look at it, That's another reason why I started the channel.
Right.
And I will say one more thing real quick. I don't want to dominate you or anything, but like
Sure.
my daughter was dating a narcissist. So she was getting it from me and her girlfriend at the time.
Oh,
So she
right.
was like a toxic sandwich. Like I was like mad at her, and then her girlfriend didn't want her talking to me. She's like, that's my dad, you know. So her girlfriend was abusive towards her. That's another reason why I started the channel, to spread more
Right.
awareness, so my daughter can watch it too, and hope to God this never happens. And I do pray that it doesn't happen again to her. Obviously, I don't want this actually to happen to anyone. It's the
Of
worst
course. Yeah.
sort of,
I'm
huh?
sure that's the last thing anyone wants here really is, for their child to end up with a narcissist as well.
Well, yeah, but with you and me having those good intentions for like anybody though, is it not the worst form of abuse outside of murder? It's the one of
Mm.
the worst forms of abuse you could do to someone is narcissist abuse. What do you think?
Oh, it is definitely yes.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel after discarding a victim?
Um, Discarding is basically BS. Discarding is I'll come back to you basically. We don't really discard
Yeah.
people. We'll always come back because we have no loyalty to one person. Like I could discard a girlfriend now and go back to her in 6 months and cheat on who I'm with because we don't care to be loyal. Loyalty is not one of our strong strong features. So after discarding, you feel good for the moment. Honestly, that's how I
Mm.
felt. Like I felt really good just for a temporary fix or supply, I guess. Yeah, it felt good. But
Yeah. Just apply the
yeah,
punishment.
yeah, you're right. Yep. And it feels good if only for a little while. It feels good to discard someone because you feel in control. And it actually, the core the core feature of NPD is control, I think. So we're controlling this
Yeah.
person, and if you unexpectedly dump them, they're most likely going to come back to you. You're just controlling them. It's a form of punishment too. When you discard someone, you most likely come back anyway. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. A lot of it is just control. It comes from just their own insecurities. They feel insecure, so then they want to discard the victim,
Right,
and they want to get there first.
right. Yeah, and the problem, you did a video recently about when you the one way to drive a narcissist crazy or something is to discard them first.
that,
I,
that
I
sounds like
remember
it,
when my ex-wife.
yeah.
It's the worst thing you could do. Seriously, you were right.
Mm.
Because when my ex-wife did that to me, it drove me insane. I mean, I'm already insane, but it drove me insaner. So
So, I mean, whatever they do to us, that is typically what would hurt them the most. That's
yeah,
how they know to do it to us because it's probably been done to them before, and they couldn't
right.
take it.
and it makes them become obsessed too.
Yes, definitely. If they're discarded first.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Uh, you become obsessed with them because you want them back to control the outcome. Even if they move on, you still want to have that control. Again, it's all about control mostly.
But that's how you know. You automatically know then, if the narcissist felt rejected, if they felt unloved, unappreciated, unwanted, unneeded, you automatically know that because they become obsessed. They try to hoover you, bait you in, entice you just so they can reject and punish you, just so they can
Right.
triangulate you with someone else or whatever else
Exactly.
they're doing to hurt you. It's all because they feel like they're not good enough, they're unlovable, they're not wanted, they're not needed. That's why they do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But at the time they're doing it, they don't realize it probably. You know,
Yeah,
because I know I didn't.
they may not be conscious of it.
Right. Yeah.
Have you ever triangulated someone with a new source?
Yeah. Everybody. Well, I'll give you a recent example. My ex-wife, she did my taxes. Uh, uh, while she was doing them, I was saying, "Well, maybe your numbers are wrong." Obviously, I'm starting a fight, but also,
Right.
triangulation is just another strategy to make her feel bad, and that's the goal. That's the goal. So I was telling her, "Oh, these numbers are off. It's 160,000 or whatever it was," and then I was like, "Well, I'm gonna ask someone else about this. I'm gonna ask Katie, and she's my ex. I'd bring her into it because she had a tax business, and it made my wife feel like an idiot. And that's just the goal. It's triangulation. Is to get her jealous. I know one girl I was talking to, and we were seeing each other, and I kept mentioning someone else. I just wanted to get her jealous to make sure she was jealous. And it's
But
again
why?
to make her. Well, because another aspect of it is narcissists are so insecure, super, super, super insecure. And it made us feel good to know that we can get this person jealous. You know, it's more fuel or more supply, I guess.
What do you
Um,
think you would do rather than make them feel jealous if you were not insecure?
well, I'd be a normal person. I'd be a normal person.
Do you think you would love them?
Yeah, but the problem is, I don't. Maybe I don't really know what love is like with a partner. Maybe I don't know. Let's say that. So I guess the answer is yes and no. Because if
Correct.
you love someone, you don't do all that. You don't triangulate these people. You don't cheat. You
Definitely.
don't make them feel bad. Um, so
And as I always say to my viewers, I mean, the way they go off and they flaunt their new source on social media, they make it look like, oh, I'm happy now. Now I'm in love. When it's like, no, punishing someone and trying to make them feel jealous, that has nothing to do with love. That's the opposite of love. That's hatred. That's a projection of shame, envy, jealousy. These are all just projections. So that there is no love there.
yeah, Um, I I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Like I feel like inside all the women I've dated, I feel like I was in love maybe one time in my entire life, like really truly close to it anyway. But at the end of the day, I still did everything conceivable to her. Cheating, lying, triangulation. So maybe I don't really fully understand it, I guess, you know, as far as a relationship.
Mm.
I would like to someday. I would like to understand it. I would like to feel that. I would like to have a drama free life and live a normal life and have a relationship. I don't know if that's possible. Like, as far as my family might be different, but a relationship with like marriage and all that, I don't know if that's possible.
I think it could be possible. I mean, from what I know, NPD does not have a cure at this time, but the behaviors can be changed. It's just it
Yeah.
takes a lot of work and consistent therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. I kind of believe there is a cure. I believe that, but I'm not going to, go out of my way to bash people that think different. It's just my opinion. It's just for me and just what I think might happen in the future. I don't think I'm there yet. I think I'm on the way there, but I think it's way more than therapy. A lot of people that think therapy's going to fix everything. I'm going to therapy. Well, no, it's not just therapy. It's behavior changes. It's books. It's learning more about it so you can understand what you're liable to do to people. There's books, there's videos, there's meditation, there's a million different things you could do. Therapy is just not the answer. Matter of fact, I never, ever, ever advise a relationship with a narcissist to just, if they agree to therapy, that fixes it, because that's not going to fix it. It's going to take a lifetime of therapy, probably. I think so. I think so.
Definitely, yes, yes, because it never goes away. And in the moment, they don't always have that awareness of what they're doing exactly. I mean, well, they do, but they just can't stop themselves because there's so much pain, and they already know, to resolve this pain, what I have to do is just hurt you, provoke you, and then instantly I'm going to feel much better. I'm going to have that relief. As for if I just go off on my own, just forget about you, it's going to be far too much pain, far too overwhelming for me to deal with this on my own. It's so much easier just to hit you right now, and then it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you a good example is like my day to day is just about trying to hurt someone. Um, like a few years back, that was my that was my goal. So I would go down a checklist, like, oh, what did she do? Did she leave the dishes? Like my ex-wife. Oh, well, maybe my daughter did something wrong, or
Yeah,
no, what did my son do? What did my friend do? So you go down this list, like
it's
you have
just
to have
looking
that.
up the things to be wrong. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my God, it's horrible. It's a horrible way to live, man. I'm telling you.
simple, trivial things around the house, like, did they forget to clean the dishes, or did they forget to turn the washing machine on, or something like that?
Yeah. And you're kind of hoping and praying, you're like, oh my God, I hope they forgot it.
Mm.
Because you absolutely need that. And a lot of people call it supply, it's drama, it's only a temporary thing that makes us happy. It's not permanent.
And what about in public? Like, if you go to the store, or a restaurant where you already go in there with like some agenda, ready to provoke someone, to irritate them, or to point out something wrong with them.
Well, yeah, but coverts are cowardly, so they're only going to pick on like friends and family and people they can get away with. So, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I would hide my ex-wife's purse. We'd go. This was years ago. Like, I'd be like, we'd shop and she'd leave it in the cart. I'd be like, oh, someday that's going to get stolen. And she'd be like, yeah, yeah, whatever. And we were in a really good area, a really good neighborhood. But I would take it and hide it under my jacket or whatever. I'd be like, look what you did, you idiot. I'm like, you got your purse stolen. So it's terrible. But like it was like a public way to degrade her.
Right.
And also prove my point to make sure I'm right.
Yeah, that's all they really want, isn't it? It's just to provoke someone, make them feel bad about themselves so that they can feel better, and to just prove that they're right. That's all it is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a very sinister disorder because at the time you're doing it, you think you have good intentions. You really do. You believe it. That's how stupid coverts can be. I'm just going to teach her a lesson. In the long run, she'll know never to leave her purse out. So I'm just going to teach her a lesson. And it's all coming from a good place, but it's not. At the time, you believe it.
That's it. Every abuser has an excuse. They always find some way to justify it.
Yeah, definitely. Isn't that called gaslighting too? Like,
Yeah, they gaslight themselves.
yeah,
They're in denial.
yeah. Yeah, because we have to believe something. Even if we fool ourselves, we have to justify our behaviors. We can't just say, hey,
Yes.
we're jerks. So,
Yeah, it's the same with anyone, you know, no matter who they are or, what mental illness they may have. We can only really do what we feel is right. If we don't feel that it's right, we can't do it. We may know the difference between right and wrong, but some people think that they are the exception. So it's okay for them to do it because life was unfair to them or because someone did something to them. So they justify it in their minds. That's how they make it possible.
yeah, this order is so sinister and sneaky that if it wasn't for my daughter and if it wasn't for my friend trying to push me into therapy, I would have gaslighted myself. You know, oh, the therapist is an idiot. I know more than a therapist. So it's there's so much to it, like so much you don't get. Like, I mean, you understand us, in a lot of ways, but you're not a narcissist. But you understand us. So you don't have the same motivations for the things you do that I do, or that narcissists do.
Right. True. Yes. I want to ask another question about news sources. Were you ever happier with the news source for real, or was it just an act?
I was never happy with anyone, like fully, until I lost them. I thought I would have been happy. When you're with someone, you're not happy. You start degrading them. And then when they dump you and leave you, and another man takes over, then you feel bad. You're just not going to be happy no matter what. Like no matter what you do. So like with a new source, maybe in the very beginning, you could kind of fake that happiness there because you're love bombing that person.
Hmm.
You you're doing that love bomb, and you fall into that yourself. Well, I do. I mean, as a narc, I fall into that love bombing, and it feels happy, but it doesn't last. It won't last. So to answer that question, no, not fully, not 100%. You've done several videos on that yourself. Like, is the narcissist ever happy with the new supply? It's just
Yes,
an
yeah,
act. It's BS. So
yeah. They're never really happy. It's just an act. I mean, they can make it look like they are, but it's you've got to look at it like, why are they trying to prove it so much? Why is it that important for them to go out of their way to show you that they're so much happier with this new person? I mean, if they were really happy, would they really need to do that? Probably not.
right.
They wouldn't even
Exactly.
care what you think about it.
Exactly.
The fact that they care so much, it just shows that they're not happy at all.
Exactly. I can just say for me, I've never really fully 100% been happy, like with the new supply. But obviously, I really, really positively need everyone to believe that, even if it's temporary.
Yeah. Have you ever felt like you wanted to return to the old source while you were with the new source?
All the time, yeah, because we have no loyalty.
But were there times where, I don't mean where you then hoovered, I mean where you're with the new source and you're going ahead with them. At the same time, you're pretending to be happy and you're wanting to go back, but you don't.
um, Not really.
Not really.
If I'm with somebody, I don't know. I don't feel like I need to be loyal, I guess. I don't feel like
Right.
if I'm in a relationship, I don't feel like I have to be loyal. Although I know
No, that's not what I meant. I'm talking about more, when you found a new source, you've discarded the old person, you're moving on, portraying it as though it's a better situation to, the old source. That's what you want them
right.
to think. But in spite of that, have you ever actually felt like it wasn't a better situation, even though
Well,
you're
yeah,
still going
yeah.
in that direction?
Well, definitely, yeah. Of course.
Because
But you don't want people to know that.
that's what I've seen in my own experience. It's like, I've been with narcissists, and they look so confident going off somewhere else, and I'm like calculated it in my head, thinking, how could this be a better situation for you?
It's not. Oh, no. No, definitely. There's been situations that have been worse, but nobody needs to know that. We don't want them to know that.
But you knew that at the time.
Well,
You knew
yeah.
you were going off into something that was worse for you,
Right.
but you were
Oh,
misleading the old source at the same time.
definitely. Yeah, but we always will try to hoover, of course. Yeah, you know.
You see,
But like
people
I was
are
dating,
learning a lot from this. I'm
huh?
sure a lot of people who are watching this, they never would have thought that a narcissist, they're going off in one direction, acting as though they're living their best lives. They're so much happier with this new source. Not always. A lot of
No.
times they know that it's worse. It's just because of their pride and ego. They'll still just go off, even though they know it's worse. They will
Yeah.
settle for a worse situation rather than it being at the expense of their pride and arrogance,
Right. Definitely.
which is just crazy when you think about it, but that's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like financially, I'll just give you one example. Like one of my exes was completely wealthy, and then one was completely broke. Like, but I wanted to put on an act like, oh, it's not so bad, but it was
Yeah,
terrible. Like, maybe not terrible, just a different situation. It's not as good as before. Um,
that's it.
even though,
Definitely, yes, yes, I agree.
because we know it's bad, or we know the news source is a cheater, or whatever it is,
Mm.
and we know that, and it's worse, but we're not going to admit that, because we have a
Even though
lot of
you know
pride.
that it is, it's like
Right.
it's kind of like the same thing as I don't know, just going from a five-star hotel and just pretending like, oh, that's nothing, that's not that great, and then you just go and check into a one-star hotel, and you're like, oh wow, the bed's so comfortable here, so cozy.
Right.
Oh, who needs that? That five-star hotel is rubbish.
Right.
It's a bit like that.
It's a
They're
shame.
in like complete denial.
Yeah. I remember when I was young, I had a girl that had a bunch of brand new cars, had all this money, and then I was with someone that was broke. Well, the thing is, like, to go back into Hoover and cheat was not a problem for me, not a problem at all. But the thing is, like, it was much.
Right.
I would- it's terrible. It's terrible. I admit it's terrible. Man, I I just want to say I've never seen anyone on YouTube that knows narcs like you do. You know, even Vachnan, uh, like you you say things that like I've already done. I'm like, oh my god, how did you know that? I don't know.
Would you believe that he declined to do an interview with me as well?
Good.
Yeah, I asked him to do an interview through email. We had a few messages back and forth, some long paragraphs, but in the end, he declined.
Wow. You know what's even funnier is that I emailed him a couple years ago when I first got my diagnosis. He didn't even respond to me. So
Right.
at least you got responses.
I think with me, because I have quite a few subscribers, maybe, but I wanted to really dig deep into his claim of being a self-aware narcissist, and I was trying to say, how can a narcissist be self-aware? At the time I was thinking, isn't that one of the main traits is that they are not self-aware, and he just didn't want to discuss that then. But I don't believe that so much now. I recognize that yes, they can be self-aware.
Yeah, they could still be jerks and still be self aware about it.
Mm.
You remember when him and Richard Grannon were like a tag team for a while there? You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
I think
about?
they're still doing it.
No, they hate each other's guts now.
Oh, is it? Didn't know.
They
I
hate
don't
each
know if we're
other.
allowed to talk about that on you.
Yeah, I hope we don't get like that.
Hopefully, this doesn't get too many views, and then Richard Grannon watches it, and then you report it.
Oh my god, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. Oh my god. Oh man, I just ruined you. I didn't do it on purpose this time. Wow, I just thought of that because he was going on tour with him. Oh my god.
I do like him though. I like Richard Grannon. He's from
Yeah,
not too far away from me. He's in Liverpool.
yeah.
I'm from Wales.
You're from Wales, okay. Yeah, he seems like he knows his stuff too. I think I think maybe you and then maybe Vaknin know more about it than anyone else on YouTube anyway that I've seen. You know, the reason I'm saying you is you're able to explain it much better and more concise and clear. than Vaknin, I think, for the most
Right.
part. But I love Vaknin, don't get me wrong. I don't want him coming after you. He was the first one I found on YouTube to learn about myself.
I was. Sam Vaknin.
What's that?
Who was the first one that you found on YouTube?
I found okay. First one on YouTube was a guy called Early Morning Barking, and
Oh, right.
he was, huh?
Right. I'm
Have
not
you ever
familiar
heard of
with
him?
that one.
You've heard of him?
No, no, I haven't heard of it.
Well, he was the first one, and I think he has BPD and NPD, so it didn't quite fit
Right.
me. So he wasn't quite what I needed. And then I saw a YouTube short that you did. This was years ago about let's see how the narcissist feels when you do it back to them, something like that. I was like, oh wow, who's this guy? And then I started watching your videos from there. It was that initial short. It was a short video you did, and you're like, they want to give you the silent treatment. Oh, that's what it was. It was a silent treatment. Like, why don't you do it back to them, see how they like it? I was like, oh my God, that's what I need. I need someone like that. And then I started watching your videos. And then I found Lee Hammock.
Oh, Lee Hammock, yes.
Yeah, I like him. What's another one? Mel Robbins is another one. And she did a live stream with Romney, Dr. Romney.
Dr. Ramani, yes.
Actually, I like Dr. Romney, believe it or not. She's really good.
Yeah, she's great.
She's been around forever, too.
Yeah, she started around the same time as me, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, she was a therapist for a long time. Like the YouTube thing, I don't, yeah, I guess it was around when you started 2018, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was sometime in 2018, yes. And I was watching her videos, and not long after, I began my channel. Then.
Your first video was Narcissist or Haters.
No, no, that was about 1 year in, maybe more. My first
Okay.
video was on the 16th of August, 2018.
Okay.
It's something like the narcissist doesn't want you to look or feel good.
Okay. That's the first one I see on YouTube for some reason. It always comes up. I don't know why.
Right.
So someone in your live chat says, "Can you pronounce my name, Arnav Chat Chat?" I can't. I don't know if you can.
Arnav Chauhan. Is that it?
Chahan. Oh yeah, you did it. Chahan. Yeah. Okay. They wish that we would talk about emotional intelligence. I don't know. Emotional, immature.
Intelligence. I do have just a few more questions that I would like to ask, which I think
Okay.
that will be very helpful for the viewers. And it's about smear campaigns.
Okay.
Have you begun any smear campaigns?
No, I have. I let me think here. Yeah, I did. With my ex-wife a few years ago, I did actually. I started
Right.
going to going to her
Why?
parents and
Why did you do that?
why?
Yes.
Um, well, part of it is to shift blame So I wanted to shift the blame off of me and make her
Yes,
look like the bad person. That was a real goal of mine at the time. We were
that's
having
it.
problems and I was completely blaming her for it. So that was one of the big things back then to make myself look good. I wanted to make myself look perfect. This is all her doing it. So I would smear her name. Oh, she's going to delete herself. She's crazy. She's this, she's that. Then I would go to my friends and do the same thing.
That's all it is. That's all it really is shifting the blame. Narcissists, they already know that it's them. They know they're bad, they're wrong. They're just trying to shift it onto you through the use of the smear campaign. And it's like many of you get confused when they devalue you. You're thinking, all of these things are wrong with me. Let me improve. Let me become better. And then, I don't know, maybe you get a good job. They get you fired from your job. You start a new business. They ruin that for you. It's very confusing. It's like, I thought you wanted me to be better. No, they're just shifting the blame onto you. They know it's already them. They already know that.
Exactly, yeah. And it's to also make ourselves look better too.
Mm.
Because we are perfect. We're perfect. So we're trying to
Yeah,
make ourselves look better.
flawless, free from blame.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's all fake. None of it is real.
No, absolutely not. Like
The only one is the victim that is real in the smear campaign.
yeah, that's true. I remember going to her boss at the time, and I remember I was messaging her boss, but her boss didn't respond to me. So I was like, oh man. And then I mean, this was years ago, but I remember doing that. I was like, you want to be careful around her, and trying to smear her and get her in trouble at work or whatever it was at the time. Um, yeah, it's pretty terrible.
It is. I mean, smear campaigns, that can ruin a person's life. And it's like,
Yeah,
for just so the narcissist can preserve their false image. So they don't have to look bad for all of the things that they've done. And they could have been
yeah,
manipulating, lying, abusing, future faking someone for 10, 20 years. And then in the end, they drop the smear campaign on them. When they start to figure things out,
yeah. It's that's a messed up tactic. Gosh, I'll never do things like that again. I know I won't.
it's
But looking
crazy.
back on it, what?
It's crazy, when you think about it. Like, someone could be in an abusive relationship their entire lives. It could be 50 years of abuse, emotional manipulation, lying, future faking, all of these tactics. And then, even at the end of it, they start to figure things out. They think, now I realize I've been abused all this time and it's not my fault. Now I can finally be free. I can finally live my life. And it's like, no, now the narcissist will drop a smear campaign on you. Even though you may have been abused for 50 years, it's not the end, it's just the beginning.
Right. It's just a pain game,
Yeah, it's
basically.
crazy. It's like it never ends for some of these victims.
Yeah. I know I'll never do that stuff again, but like at the time, you justify your actions. You justify it at the time. Like, oh, I'm just trying to tell people what she did. I don't know.
Well, you're making the steps to change. So, it's definitely a step in the right direction, recognizing that it's self destructive and you're trying to be better.
Yeah, I have been for the last few years. Yeah, definitely. It's not easy though. It's a daily battle. But I know I'll never do the things I used to do. I know that for sure.
But what did you think of your enablers and your flying monkeys? You know, these people who were running around doing your bidding, acting on your behalf. What did you think of those people? Did you have any respect for them? Did you care about them at all?
Yeah, they were a tool that I used to further my cause. Yeah, I manipulated them too, of course.
Mm.
They're victims too.
They're all just
Um,
tools,
yeah,
objects.
unfortunately. Yeah, it's another person that you manipulate. They think that they're helping you out, but they're part of the smear campaign or the flying monkeys or whatever. They're part of that, but they don't always have evil intentions either. They're just being manipulated too.
Mm.
Because I come out as the person that was the victim, even though the other
Yeah,
person is the victim.
it's the real victim. Yeah, but no one realizes it.
Yeah.
So they're all being tricked. They're all in some warped, false reality, and they don't even know it. The only person who is actually in the real world is the real victim, who they are all targeting, and they
Yeah,
can't even see it.
right. And that's a good point. I want to point out something real quick though. I always tell people to never go to therapy with a narcissist because
Yeah,
they'll even manipulate the therapist.
they will. They'll
It's
manipulate doctors,
yeah,
lawyers, judges, everyone.
yeah, that's one of the biggest mistakes people make. Ah, they want to go to therapy, I'll go with them. They'll use the therapist as their flying monkey, as a tool
Definitely,
to hurt that person. And the person is a victim. The narcissist made them a victim and the therapist a victim.
definitely. I mean, I've said before in one of my live videos, a narcissist would manipulate the entire world and everyone in it, making them, all of them, their flying monkeys and enablers before they ever even think to change anything bad or negative about themselves.
Right.
They would change the
Exactly.
entire world if they had the power to manipulate everyone in the world, making them all their flying monkeys. They would do that, creating a literal fake world by that point.
Yeah,
The entire
exactly.
world would be fake. They had the power to do that, of course.
Definitely. Yeah. A lot of people want to go to therapy, and that's one of the biggest mistakes they can make in their lives. They don't realize what they're going to get into. If a narcissist really wants to change and really wants to go to therapy, they have to do it for themselves, with themselves, and only themselves, for themselves, you know.
So, how did you really feel about your enablers and flying monkeys? Did you feel like these people are your equals or your your subordinates? You felt as though you were
Subordinates,
superior to them.
lesser
Subordinates,
than
right? So they're like beneath you in terms
definitely,
of position.
definitely in terms of everything. Yeah, definitely.
It
Yep,
makes sense. But then what about the victim? Is the victim, you see them as your subordinate as well?
definitely. Yeah, almost like wanna
Even
you
though,
wanna like
but that confuses me because then I think, if it's you as the narcissist and then you've got all of these enablers and flying monkeys against one person, how can that one person be a subordinate if it takes all of these people just to target the one person?
I don't know. We don't see that though.
It doesn't make any
We just want
sense.
to hurt people, man. Come on.
I mean, if
We
it,
just
if it
want
was just you against one person, no one else involved, and you've got the better of them, I can kind of see it then. They, they would be your subordinate. But if it's like 50 flying monkeys and just one target, I would see it as though no matter what happens to that one target, that person is in the superior role because it takes all of these people just to try and manipulate and control them.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're on opposite sides here because you're the empath, I'm the narcissist. So we see it differently.
How do you see it now? Now that you're awakened?
How do I see it is that well, I wish I was like you. You know narcissists are not happy, right?
Of course, yes, I am aware of that. I mean, I've said before, how a person treats us, that's a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves. I mean, a happy person, they're going to love you, they're going to treat you very well, they're going to respect you, they're going to appreciate you.
Yeah. What is the old saying that those who try to bring you down are already beneath you?
That's it, definitely. They have to be beneath you first to be able to bring you down.
Yeah. I just don't want to be like that anymore. That's all I know. I don't want to infect my children. I don't want to. I don't want to bring people down anymore. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know I don't feel the same way anymore. That's all I know. I don't feel that desire. But I don't know what'll happen in the future if it'll ever happen again, but I don't feel it anymore. I don't feel that desire. I know it sounds
Yeah.
weird, but I actually like peace and quiet,
Really?
which yeah, you can't believe that, right?
So you're okay being alone with your own thoughts?
Right. Just the peace and quiet I didn't have as a child. Well, you appreciate it as well now I do more than ever, but as a child I never had that. Every day was a fight. Every day was a beating or something. So
Right.
mm,
So maybe you found some way to regulate yourself.
I don't know what it is though. I just don't feel the same way. And I think God helped me a lot.
Right.
Belief in God. Um, Even though I called myself a demigod years ago, I do believe in God.
Do you ever feel like maybe you didn't have a soul before, but now you do?
I don't know about now, but yeah, definitely, I agree with that.
Because I've always
Well,
wondered, I mean, that would be the only possible conclusion really for, I mean, for a narcissist to have a void and then suddenly they're full of something. It's like, where did that come from?
the void.
No, well, I mean, what filled this void?
What fills it now? You mean? I have no idea. I just don't feel the same way. Like I don't think I'm doing it even for my children. In some ways, I think it's just such a harmful, self-destructive disorder. I just don't think I would live much longer going the way I was. That's all I know.
I think it
I
is something connected to God or a higher power. That's what I believe,
It might be, yeah, maybe.
because there is no other earthly explanation for it. I mean, if a person has a void and it's like nothing can fill it, they're always looking to external things, and then they go through a process of healing, and then something exists from where there was nothing before. How is that possible? If there was nothing there before, how could there be something there now?
I don't know. Maybe it is God. Well, to tell you the truth, like I didn't start really fully believing in God until the last 2 years, I guess. I believed in a spirit and a power, but I didn't fully grasp it or understand it. Maybe that might have something to do with it. Having that belief in God, maybe. I mean, there's other factors like therapy, books, videos, meditation, opposite action therapy. Um, I don't know. It could be God. It could be because there was nothing there. There was a numbness there, like a shell, like a blackness, like nothingness. It's come. I know it's like I was raised as a Baptist, and I know about God and religion, but I didn't really turn to it until I got diagnosed. I thought, well, maybe God would help me through this. Maybe God would help me, and that was like my initial thoughts when I went back to therapy. That was my initial thoughts. Because I don't think when you're trying to solve a problem as big as NPD, I don't think it's just there's one answer to it. I think there's got to be multiple. You can't just do one thing to fix it because it's such a massive problem. It's a part of my personality. The void of the nothingness, the numbness, never being happy, never being satisfied. So
Right.
maybe you might be right. Maybe it is God. I don't know. But I was like embracing it more. I started going to church with my son after my diagnosis. So maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I haven't actually thought about it until you mentioned it too much.
I think God has the power to do anything, really. I mean, I do believe in God, and I believe that God can heal anyone. The
Yeah,
universe, a higher power, yes, of course. I mean, that's what
all
it means
things,
to be a believer.
all things are possible through Christ.
And I think that anyone, if a narcissist is becoming self aware, they're trying to change, they're going to therapy, and you're standing in the way of that and trying to prevent them from changing, to me, that is demonic, if anything. If
Yeah,
you're trying to stop someone from elevating and being better, that's
definitely.
not nothing to do with God. I mean, God would allow their growth and their development. So, that's my belief on it.
There's some guy on YouTube, Danish, I think his name is, and he says that we're possessed by demons. Like he has a lot of weird things on his channel like that. I wonder if there might be some truth there or something like
I've
that.
said that myself in my own videos. I did a live video just the other day on that. I've only been saying it recently, but yeah, I do believe that it could potentially be a demonic possession. Especially for some narcissists. I've seen it when they rage, and it's like you just can't get through to them. You can't reach them. Not like how we're conversing now. You're very easy to talk to. You understand a lot of what I'm saying. You don't get triggered. You don't rage. I mean,
Right.
it's not like that with regular narcissists. I wouldn't be able to talk to them like this at all. And
Yeah, with your body of work, I know it has to be difficult for you, to converse like this. It has to be because of everything you've been through with narcissists.
Um, it actually isn't difficult for me, as as people may think, because I guess because I do believe in a higher power. I believe in God. Of course, I believe that people can change and that they deserve the right to change, and that anyone who is standing in their way. In the beginning, I can understand, people may be a bit resistant to their development. They may be thinking, oh, what about all of the things they've done? But at some point, it's like, you just got to get over it and accept it, that this person is aware now, they're trying to grow, they're trying to change. I mean, we do have to forgive at some point if someone is really trying to change for the better.
Yeah,
They're trying to make it right, let them make it right.
yeah. It's a shame. I get a lot of emails and questions about NPD abuse, and that was why I started the channel, Narcissist Hex. When I started it, that was the name of it. It's because we're cursed. That's the hex part. That's why I named it that, because that's how I
Right.
felt when I first got diagnosed with it. It's like uh, narcissist hex, and then the hex part is the curse part because we're cursed and we don't know it. We don't understand it. We don't realize it. So we're doing these things to harm people because I don't know. People say we're possessed or whatever, but we're cursed. That's what I believe. Uh, a lot of people go through as coverts and overt narcs, and they don't realize what they're doing. They're hexed and cursed. I believe in that. I believe in that really strongly because I was only doing this to preserve the relationship, but I was killing my partner in so many ways,
Mm.
by
Yes,
degrading
to
the
keep
person
it
and making
going,
sure,
yes. To preserve it,
because I don't
yes.
want them to leave.
Right.
Right.
You don't want it to end, but at the same time, you're harming them and you're
Killing
harming
them.
yourself.
I believe it's a form of death. I believe a death by 1,000 paper cuts, a million
Mm.
paper cuts. I believe that. But you want to bring the person so far down, they'll never leave you. That's the
Yeah,
goal. That's why we're cursed with
keep them
that.
stuck.
Yeah, no matter what they do, they'll never do anything right, ever. So we have to drag them down as far as possible.
Mm.
But I don't know if there's a cure. I don't most people think there is. I think it can be cured, but I don't think it's an easy road. I don't think it's something that can happen overnight. I don't think a marriage could work through it. I don't know if a marriage could survive it, It's such a sinister disorder.
It is. And not only that, it's the way that, well, most narcissists, they tend to get worse with age. From
Yeah,
my research, I mean, you know, as with, there's so much research on bullies and how bullying affects the bully. And it actually affects them far more than their own victims. I did a video recently on, on how smear campaigns will destroy narcissists and their fly monkeys. And I mentioned all of these statistics. For example, there's one that states that bullies are at a 10 to 25 times risk more than their own victims of developing a psychiatric condition. which may include a mental illness like sociopathy or psychopathy.
Bullies? I have not heard that one yet.
Yeah, it's a recent video I did, my first pre-recorded video on the channel. It's how smear campaigns destroy narcissists and fly monkeys. And yes, the bully or the narcissist, the abuse that they inflict, it's damaging them 10 to 25 times more than their own victims. So you think
Oh,
when someone comes to you and they insult you, they harm you in some way, the best revenge is just to let them go and just walk off with all of the damage that they've just inflicted on themselves.
yeah. So narcissists are basically bullies too. So we're doing more damage to
Yes,
ourselves.
definitely. Definitely a narcissist is a bully. And yeah, this is real research studies that have shown, I mean, 10 to 25 times more risk of developing a psychiatric condition than their own victims that they are abusing and inflicting harm onto.
Wow.
And this is
Okay.
that's just one effect, as well as that, it involves all kinds of relationship and family issues. And then there's increases the likelihood of developing addictions such as tobacco, alcohol, recreational drugs, and also depression, suicidal ideation, and children who inherit the same traits of being a bully. And then the cycle starts all over again. So nothing good comes out of bullying, punishing, narcissistic behavior. All of this is self destructive. And many psychologists on YouTube have stated that as well. There's one from Ireland, I believe also Dr. Ramani, Richard Grannon, they've all said narcissism is self destructive. And I've said myself, only love wins in the end. And it really does.
Yeah. Love and God. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. If you love something, you take care of it. I mean, as within, so without. How we treat people is a direct reflection of how we feel about ourselves. So we love ourselves, we take care of ourselves. That means we love other people, we take care of them. If you love something, you preserve it, it grows into something beautiful. And if you bully, if you harm, you're harming yourself at the same time. It just produces death, destruction, decay.
Yeah, you had mentioned something about that. One of your videos, you said a narcissist always gets their karma. And then another one was this is the best revenge for narcissists to leave them alone and discard them. And then the karma is
Definitely.
what you is we do get our karma. We have to live this way.
Yes, they are their own karma. I mean, that's for anyone who bullies you, anyone who wants to harm you. You just got to think that, the fact that they're doing that, they really are their own karma. And
Yeah,
the worst thing you can do for them is just to leave them alone and let them go off on their own. Give them enough rope and they will hang themselves.
definitely. When I started going to church after my diagnosis, I started feeling less of that numbing void, I guess. And then like what you're saying with karma, that's definitely true. It's an exhausting lifestyle to live, relationship to relationship, having to move again, buy a different house. It's like you can't your body's not ever settled, you're not ever satisfied or happy. That isn't that karma enough, like what you preach, you preach that, you can't really get revenge on a narcissist. You know, what can you do? What can you do to us? You just have to leave us alone. If you're in a relationship with them, you have to leave them alone, and they'll get their karma. And it's actually proven. And you're right. You did do a video on that. I started to watch
Yeah.
it. I remember the more you talk about it.
No, you're right. I mean, you can't really punish a narcissist. I mean, it's like we were speaking about earlier. If a narcissist was in a 5-star hotel, they went down to a 1-star hotel, they would still just be in denial. They wouldn't really be experiencing, that difference in. They would just be so out of touch with it that it wouldn't even be a punishment. They would just keep
Right.
moving on. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's probably so many narcissists in jail who are just having a great time in there, laughing, joking, making friends. They don't even care.
Right.
So it's a waste of time.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. My older brother was in prison for many years. He didn't really give a crap.
Yeah, they
It's
don't.
just like
True
he
narcissists,
didn't
they
care.
really just don't even care. They will make do with it. They'll find a way to get used to it.
Another part of that is, now that you're talking about this, is that we absolutely expect the worst. So whatever you could do to us, bring it on. We expect it. So
Mm.
we don't have a positive
Yeah,
outlook on life.
they're already
We're not
hyper-vigilant,
expecting.
expecting the worst thing to happen. Yeah, so nothing you can do can really measure up to what they're already expecting you to do, really.
Exactly.
And even then, they thrive in dysfunctional environments.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They thrive in that. They do not thrive in functional environments. So when you're punishing them, it's like, some of them, they're having a great time with it. Like they're enjoying it. They're like, yeah, bring it on. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
because we know that you're dragging yourself down too.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know that
They love to see us go down with them as well.
you're stooping to our level, and we love that.
That's it. Then
Gosh,
it makes them
yeah,
feel like they're not the problem.
it's more control too, and we love that. Like for me, like I haven't been like much of a victim. I've always been like the bully, I guess you could say. You know, so it's hard to see it from what you're saying. It's hard to understand it, I guess.
Right.
And then
Understood.
at times when people do try to bully me, it's such a shock. But I honestly, I would expect nothing else. So it doesn't bother me too much.
Mm. Because you feel like you deserve it anyway, so
Right.
then it
That's
doesn't
what
affect
people
you.
people try to get revenge on us, and it's never gonna work. It'll never work.
Mm. It only works if
And
you feel like you don't deserve it, but they already
it's
feel like
better
they do.
for the work. Huh?
They already feel like they deserve it after everything they've done because deep down they know what they've done. So,
Yeah. We expect to be punished eventually anyway. So
mm,
but the best thing I think for most people to understand is hopefully to just not get into a relationship with them. That's the best thing to
yes,
avoid it. It's very similar to quicksand. The more you get into it, the harder it is to get out of it. It's just better not to get into it to begin with. And
definitely.
that's another reason why I started my channel, is to warn people off of the things that we do. From the very
Yes,
beginning, you could tell a narcissist, can't you, by now? Like, how long does it take you to tell? For you being who you are, Chris.
Um, yeah, normally I can tell quite quickly, but then sometimes if they're quite attractive or charming, it's like I don't really want to know. It's like, yeah, okay, they seem quite narcissistic, but they're very beautiful.
There might be an exception there.
And I'm sure many people can relate to that. I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes, isn't it? We just like it's like, yeah, I know. Narc Survivor said this about narcissists. Oh, this one's quite attractive. Maybe I can let this slide.
Well, at least you know what to expect. So most people don't. You're way ahead of most people anyway. I always say it depends on how they treat people that can't really do much to them. Like an example would be like if you go to a restaurant with them and they're snapping at the wait staff, the waitress or waiter, that could be a sign they want control. That's not a good sign.
Mm.
You could tell
But
how
I
they treat
think,
other people.
sorry.
You could tell like how they treat other people, and how they act, how they tell you about how their exes are insane and crazy, but it's not their exes, it's them. That's another red flag.
Yeah, they just like to project and shift the blame to protect the
Yeah,
false image. Yes.
exactly.
Shall we give the viewers some time to ask you a few questions? Because I'm
Okay.
sure as they've been watching this, they probably have some questions of their own. So, how do you feel about that? Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
It could get quite unpredictable, though. Knowing my viewers, I know a lot of you can be quite curious, and I'm sure, especially now that we have a diagnosed COVID narcissist on here.
Okay, please address the lack of empathy. Okay. Um Basically, we do have some forms of empathy, but like I have some forms of it. I don't have the amount maybe that Chris has, but I have some forms of it. It's normal to us. So to address it would just be like, well, that's just how it is for us. Like I don't know any better, but I do believe that I have a certain amount of empathy. I do believe that.
Right. Yeah, it's like, as I've said in my videos, there's a cognitive empathy that narcissists have, and actually, narcissists have more cognitive empathy than empaths, who actually have very little of that, which is just reading into another person's emotions. Like you know what they're feeling, but you don't feel it as though it's your own. That's
Right.
affective empathy, which empaths have a lot have. Narcissists don't have any of that.
We don't have enough
So
to like stop harming people sometimes, but I do have some.
yes, the cognitive empathy, but with the affective empathy, that's like like if you were driving down the street, you saw like a dog crossing the road, and a car's just about to hit the dog. For me, as an empath, I'd probably be like jumping out of my seat, feeling it as though it's about to, like a car's about to hit me. You feel it as though it's happening to you. If you have high amounts of affective empathy, like empaths. But with narcissists, it's kind of, they're just completely cold. they could just leave you to just lay on the bed crying, and they won't feel anything, even
Right.
though they know you're going through something. They can read into it. They
No,
won't
you're
feel it.
absolutely correct. Because I've done that to my ex-wife. Like I could see her cry and just be like, "Well, that's
Mm.
her problem, not my problem.
But you
Sucks
don't
to be
feel
you."
it as though it's your pain.
Exactly. But I think I have developed more. Um, gosh, I think I've developed more empathy, and I think I have some. But you know, I'm talking 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I would say you're 100% correct. I didn't feel
Right.
anything. You know. So Ace Clean said, "How do you feel when you're discarded or rejected?" Well, Chris, you did a video on this not too long ago, and it drives us insane. It's horrible. It drives us insane. You just did that the other day. Yeah,
Definitely, yes.
it's one of the actually it's one of the worst things you could do to a narcissist is to discard the narcissist and ignore them. It's
Mm.
one of the worst things because you're taking away all their power, all of it. Yeah, that video you did the other day is spot on.
That's right. I mean, that's why if you do reject a narcissist, they get obsessed, they stalk, they start smear campaigns, because there's nothing that hurts them more, isn't it?
Yeah, because we lost control
Mm.
and we need that control. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That video you did, I couldn't sit through it because it was kind of scary. Now the truth is getting out. Because you're calling us out. You're telling the truth on us now. How to hurt us the worst way possible. Gosh,
There's
but I'm
one thing
glad.
they
I'm
hate,
so
is the
happy.
truth.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're doing it though, man. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you did that. I'm so happy you started your channel. You know, you're helping so many people. I wish I had that reach that you do, but man, you changed a lot of people's lives. You know, I'm so happy you're doing these videos.
You could get it. I'm sure your channel will grow in the future. You just got to keep putting out the content, giving the viewers what they need.
Yeah, yeah, they need awareness and they need the truth, you know. And some of them unfortunately they need to believe in God that they can overcome it. That's what I believe.
Exactly. And it looks like there's clearly a demand for this type of video on here as well. So
Right.
maybe we could do this again in the future. I mean, we've got
Yeah. I love that.
154 live viewers right now.
Yeah. Someone said, Kill Hooch said, Chris is amazing.
Thank you.
So we're not getting a ton of. Oh wait, okay? We got a question. Have you frozen eyes turn black when confronted? Um,
Oh, I like
okay.
that. I like
Huh?
that question.
No.
Because
Well,
I've
what do
seen
you
that
say, Chris?
myself.
You've seen it?
Yes, I have. I know what they're talking about, where it's like, when you confront them, you just hold them up to something they said or did that was hurtful, or where they try to harm you. You try to hold them accountable, and then it's like they just kind of stop in that moment, and the eyes just widen and they go black. and it's just like you're just looking into, like, you feel like you're looking into the depths of the void and you're being sucked into it, and then it's like they've sucked the energy out of you and then they explode it back on you with the rage. So that's my
Yeah.
description of it.
Well, okay, I have to believe it because I've never seen it, but I'm not looking in the mirror when I'm. So it's probably a question for you to answer. I don't see my eyes. Maybe they do turn black.
Yeah, there is some talk about it on YouTube. There's a few videos that talk about how the narcissist's eyes goes black. It's kind of
They
like that
might.
moment of self reflection. There's a split second window where narcissists do self reflect, and that's what causes the narcissistic injury and the rage, is that they've just reflected on their shame and their insecurities.
Yeah.
I don't know if you resonate with that in your own experience. Like when someone confronted you or they try to hold you accountable for something, it's like that split second you knew that they were right and you were wrong, and that you were bad and you felt bad, but then you just had to fight it and say, no, no, it's you. Am
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're right. But God, that's terrible. Yeah, you're right. My gosh. Yeah. So, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I did something with my ex-wife, and then she confronted me. I did something to her, and she confronted me on it. I knew she was right, and she caught me dead in the water. And I started bringing up everything from her childhood to her past, everything I could think of to not take responsibility for this. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I was making up stuff to get around it. But you're right. It was like for 2 or 3 seconds there, I was like, wait a minute. Damn it, she caught me. Okay, she's right. I'm wrong. Like
That's
for
it.
I'm like, oh my God, I can't accept it.
Because it
You know,
it leaves the false self without any support or validation. So then you've got to
right.
hurry up and try and trick them and gaslight them so that they
Oh my
do end
God,
up validating, the false self and the illusion. Because it can't be
definitely.
self-validated. Someone has to validate it, and that's why it's like, if they don't buy into the story, got to throw all of the pressure, intimidation, the threats, and just be like, you know, I'm going to call the police. They're going to get you in trouble. I'm going to say you did this. You're trying to hurt me. Just anything they can possibly think of to trick you into validating the illusion. Because in that moment, they're
Definitely.
so insecure, they can't validate themselves.
Yeah. I feel like I don't have like my shirt on or something, like totally exposed. Like it's
Yep.
crazy. Uh, it's just so hard to take responsibility when you mess things up. Again, like you had that thing with your jacket in the car with the cat urine. Like it was a mistake to not clean it or whatever. I could never do that. I don't
Oh
think I
right,
could
yeah,
ever
yeah.
do
That was in one of my recent live videos where I had the my white jacket on, but then I said,
that.
"Oh, it smells like cat pee," like
Yeah.
Harley's, so I had to take it off then.
Yeah, that's totally vulnerable, and I don't know if I can ever get to that level.
Mm.
So to backtrack a little bit, somebody asked how I became a narcissist and what happened, and I don't want to veer too off track because it was a question from Swirl 8811, I think it was, and they wanted to know um, how I became this way. So to sum it
Right.
up, it was childhood trauma, childhood abuse, being bullied, being degraded, being humiliated. The false self came out as a sort of protection to protect me, um, and my self confidence to act like I'm something, but deep down I know I'm nothing like that. To sum it up, childhood trauma and abuse, splintered family and abuse. And you got a $2 donation, Chris.
Yes, thank you, Pete. Don't repeat. I appreciate it.
Do you use word salad to confuse? Definitely, yes. That's our go-to tactic. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Especially if you're trying to like find out the truth about something. If we can confuse you and keep you off balance, all the better. Word salad,
Spin
yeah,
them around in
definitely.
circles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's to confuse. I think word salad is, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, is it not a form of gaslighting?
Um, yes, yes, I would say so.
Okay.
I mean, it's intended to make the target doubt their memory or their perception, their sanity.
As long as you're off balance and we don't have to take responsibility, yeah, we'll use word salad. That's good enough for sure. Manipulation, of course, yeah. Someone said
Right.
manipulation.
I think we need to bring this interview to a close now. Maybe one more question. If there's one more question there, and then I think we will do another interview in the future as well, if you would like to.
Yeah, I would love to.
More of a
Yeah,
Q&A, because there's clearly
definitely,
a demand for it. If we get
definitely.
one
We
more
maybe
question from the viewers.
okay. Chris made it happen. So, Ronnie, I don't know if you could see it or if you want to take it. Is this a humbling experience?
I don't
Okay.
think that's really a question.
Were you ever with your own kind?
Oh, that's a good one.
Um, Matter of fact, I believe I was. Yes. Um, I believe one of my ex partners was a narcissist. I'm not sure
Mm.
of what kind, but she used, now looking back on it, I understand it. But at the time, she used triangulation, word salad, gaslight, all these things. But at the time, I was trying to do it back to her. So it didn't work out. It didn't last. It was only a few months. So we were destroying each other. So I think they can work, though. It depends on the type of
Definitely.
narcissist.
I mean, that's the
Um,
thing. If you look at the family dynamics and, when they move on to a new source, it seems like they prefer to be around their own kind. People who are fake and inauthentic. They don't want to be around a real person who's constantly exposing them all of the time.
right. Yeah, that would make us uncomfortable.
It's better to be with, another, maybe like a grandiose narc who's all about fantasies and illusions and just, living a lie, living in denial, just presented a false image. It makes more sense for them to gravitate towards that.
Definitely. Um, but I know this is off subject a little bit. A narcissist, well, most of them will just take whatever's available for the most part,
Yeah,
honestly. It's not like we
definitely,
have a
yes.
specific type. We have a way of sniffing vulnerability and weakness.
Mm.
And if you're weak and vulnerable, we could tell and we could feel it, and we could take advantage of that. Definitely.
Yes, yes, I agree. I mean, that's more sociopaths and psychopaths they do have a specific type, and they will wait around for years in solitude until they find that. But narcissists, they will settle for anything they can find, as long as
Pretty
they don't
much.
have to be alone.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're vulnerable and you're easy, yes, definitely that makes our lives easier. But it's not like we'll just take what we can get, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Do you want to do another question, or you want to get it over with?
No, I think we should leave it there for today. I mean, this interview has gone on a bit longer than expected.
What was the? Oh my God! Yeah, 2 hours. Wow.
But
Okay.
we can
Yeah.
do more another time.
Yeah. Do you mind if I mention my channel name?
Sure. Yes. Yes, you can.
Okay. Please subscribe to Narcissist Hex, and God bless everybody. Be safe out there. Happy New Year. And Chris, it was nice talking to you, man. You're
You
such a
too.
genuine.
Thank you for being
Gen-
here.
yeah, I appreciate your time, man. You're such a good person, a genuine person. Like that comes across in almost all your videos,
Thank
unless
you.
you have. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So that $2, do I get the $2 or do you? Are we splitting that? All right, I'll let you go though. Hope everyone has a happy new year.
Thank you. I think I speak for everyone when I say that you have been, a positive representation of a diagnosed narcissist.
Yeah, I try. Yeah. Thank you so much though. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone that came in today.
Thank you.
And Chris, don't ever change. Keep doing what you're doing. We need more people like you.
Don't worry, I will.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Happy
Cheers.
New Year.
Happy New Year. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed this interview today. Something different. I thought it would be beneficial for all of you to see this live interaction with me and a self aware, diagnosed, covert narcissist. So, yeah, it's a very unique interview. I mean, I don't think there's many like this on YouTube so far. I hope that it was helpful to you. And if it was, you can show your support down below by giving it a thumbs up. It would only take you 2 seconds to do that. So please show your support and let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. I am reading your comments every day. And hit the subscribe button, click all notifications so that you will be notified when I upload a new video or when me and Jack go live again in the future. And if you'd like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's Narc Survivor YouTube. All right. Thank you all for joining me on this live interview. I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.